Okay, so this jet does about 1,000 miles per hour, a little more. If it's traveling east on the equator is already doing 1,000 miles per hour. At 1,000 for the airplane, now this would hold true for commercial airliners too. They would be doing 1,500 miles per hour, the average commercial jet. This one's doing over 2,000 miles per hour. Now, the ground is said to be bulging 14 miles high around the equator. That's due to the 1,000 mile per hour equatorial speed, or the rim speed of the ball Earth. Okay, and don't straw man me, as these guys always do, say, it's one rotation in 24 hours, P-brane. Listen, dumbos, they already came up with the 14-mile high equatorial bulge. They're well aware of the one rotation in 24 hours. So stop bringing that up. Because it's not the rotational period of one rotation in 24 hours that made them come up with this cockamamie nonsense of an equatorial bulge. They came up with it because they figured that the 1,000 miles per hour would warp and bulge the Earth at its equator. Right? Because they know Newton's law, too, that everything wants to move in a straight line. And the rotating sphere, where every point on the sphere except the equator is a turn, and so everything wants to go straight. The rotating sphere is forcing it to turn. But if it's loose at all, if it can break loose from that rotation, it's going to, and it's going to move toward the equator. Okay, so everything on the equator now has already moved to the equator, right? So things on the equator are not going to move left or right. They're going to want to go straight, but they're going to want to go straight also on the vertical axis. They're not wanting to move left or right, right? So, no, but gravity, P-brane, yeah, but the ground, which weighs beyond, any airplane or any, just immeasurable weight and volume, has lifted upwards 14 miles high due to that rotation. That's what they say. I'm using their nonsense, their model. The ground has already defeated gravity. Gravity did not do its job of holding the ground down. It's allowed it to expand upwards 14 miles high. So the airplane definitely would have to nose down to fly around the equator. So that's why my thumbnail here, I have that the airplane would have to nose down. It would have to. Because otherwise it's going to launch. They say when they launch their rocket into space, they launch on the equator eastward. So they're saying they're taking advantage of the 1,000 mile per hour rotation. Well, they're saying the ground is already bulging up 14 miles high. So there must be something to it. So all commercial airliners and this jet should be having to nose down immediately the entire trip so that they don't launch into space. I mean, this is so ridiculous. Even having to make videos about this, but this is the world we live in, where everything's gaslighting, everything is this fake science. Of course, this is not real. There's no such thing. None of these jets have to nose down, even if they're flying east on the equator. And I love this with sometimes somebody's a while back, they take this little scale with them and they go, you would weigh 0.2 ounces vital at the equator, P-brane. Are you kidding? The equator has just shifted up 14 miles high of dirt and rock and everything. You're only going to weigh a couple ounces light? I don't think so. Okay, so let me add this, because right now they're going to say, equilibrium, P-brane. Everything's in equilibrium. Okay, let me explain to you in a real simple understanding of what equilibrium is. This is what they're talking about. That at a certain speed, when you start to rotate this ball Earth, the ground starts to bulge at the equator. And now, whatever speed you're doing, if you maintain that speed, stop right there. The ground has bulged out on the equator, and the poles kind of fall in, and all the ground behind it now fills in toward the equator. And when it packs in, that's called equilibrium. So you can maintain that speed. The ground is no longer going to shift. Now, if you increase the speed a little more till where the ground at the equator starts to pull out again, pull up and away from center, then the ground is going to, at the poles, is going to fall inward again toward the center, and everything's going to shift toward the equator, filling in and packing in. This is all it is. When you maintain that speed, the ground stays packed. But what the problem is, what they've forgotten, and I said this in one of my last videos, that we, on the surface, we are not in equilibrium. We are not moved and packed in against each other so that we're no longer moving. You understand? But we would have to be packed in like this, all around the equator, for us to be in equilibrium. Anybody on the surface, anything on the surface would have to be packed in as well. I mean, this is completely busted because of us on the surface. We're not in equilibrium. Anyway, this is so stupid. We live on an immovable, stationary plane. All right. Thank you so much for watching. There's only one thing left to do. Let's kick the ball out of here. Take care.